Today, we're going to have a whole bunch of tips and advice from one of my favorite sales coach, Don Williams. Hello, LinkedIn. Welcome. This is LinkedIn Live with Fanny. Okay, so today we are going to talk all about entrepreneurship and sales and customer service and how to handle the challenges that we're facing right now during this pandemic and during this COVID-19 period. It's definitely hit a lot of businesses, and I couldn't think of a better person to share his ideas and advice with us than Mr. Don Williams. And I'm going to bring him on the show right now. Welcome, Don.
Hi, Fanny. How are you?
I'm wonderful. So happy to see your smiling face. And, just for the audience, I want to tell them why I wanted you to be on the show, Don. We met probably, over a year ago, right? And we met through Craig Wasselcheck. Hopefully he's in there somewhere. And I was just so blown away by your sales coaching, your customer service posts, and just in general, the person that you are. So kind and giving, and just tons of knowledge and expertise. And you lead from the heart, Don. And I think for me, that's really important. And it's why I think I have a great connection with you. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
Don't you think we should share with the audience? So we're not LinkedIn connections who went offline. We're offline connections who went to LinkedIn.
Yes, that's true.
And Craig Wasselcheck, our mutual friend and LinkedIn guru,
yes,
actually introduced us at lunch one day down at the ballpark in Arlington, Texas.
Texas Live, yes.
Play, yes. And I think I screwed up the directions and I was in the wrong spot.
That's true. Good memory.
Craig called and said, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm at the place."
Yes.
And he was like, "That's the wrong place." Like, oh, and a couple minutes later, you guys showed up. And if you remember, do you remember what I had in my hand?
Yeah.
What did I have in my hand?
You're ready to shake my hand.
I was ready to shake your hand, but I also had something like this. And as you walked in the door,
I had my camera too.
Yes. And I
content creators meeting with their cameras.
I knew at that point I had found my sister from another mister, Annie Dunnigan. I think that was about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd been a little longer. Yeah. We don't have any baseball season right now because we're in the great stay home. But it was just before the beginning of baseball season 2 years ago.
Yes.
And,
yes.
And then you and I have traveled a few miles and crossed a few bridges since that time. And I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I've been looking forward to this all week. And when I'm done for the week. So.
Yeah. And for those of you in the audience, please tag your entrepreneur friends and connections into the comments so they can tune in as well. And Mike O'Connor says, Don is definitely someone to follow if you are looking to up your sales game. So definitely. And welcome to Monica from Arlington. Thank you for tuning in. So look up Don Williams, connect with him on LinkedIn. Just really quick, Don Williams, best-selling author, sales coach, Fortune 500 leadership coach, past president of Entrepreneurs Organization. And actually, tell us a little bit about Entrepreneur Organization, Don.
I'd love to. So Entrepreneur Organization, or EO, is a global group of entrepreneurs. We're just about 15,000 members all around the globe, 62 countries, I think, 190 chapters. And the organization exists for and by entrepreneurs. And one of the great things, and we'll talk a little bit about this during the segment, but we provide learning, connection to experts, and community for entrepreneurs. Sometimes entrepreneurs have this feeling that nobody understands me. I'm a little different. My neighbors who work in corporate think I'm weird, and I don't know where to go.
You have to be a little nuts to be an entrepreneur, I think. Just a
Well,
little.
Maybe, but as entrepreneurs think everybody else is a little.
Yes.
So
Yes.
It depends.
And I'm speaking as an entrepreneur.
It depends on how you look at it.
Yes.
But literally almost 15,000 of us all around the globe. I never have a week that I'm not speaking with people on multiple continents that are,
because it's a global organization, right?
Global organization. So, last year, as you know, I spent about 30 days in China around an EO, China and Malaysia and South Korea on an EO trip, and have spoken all over the world to different EO chapters. And we're as broad as you can imagine, and also as local. Here in Dallas-Fort Worth, there are 2 chapters, Fort Worth, and then that suburb that's a little east of Fort Worth, Dallas. There's a chapter with my brothers and sisters there also. And
thank you. Yes. And I think that sets us up. I mean, you interact all the time with entrepreneurs, and you're a successful entrepreneur yourself. And so I feel like there's nobody better to kind of have this conversation right now around entrepreneurship during this pandemic. What are the biggest challenges you're seeing for entrepreneurs right now, Don?
I think the number one challenge for entrepreneurs, and maybe for just the population in general, business, family, personal, whoever, is fear of the unknown. We just don't know. And we hear a lot of stats, and we hear a lot of, this is horrible and that's great, and then that's great and this is horrible, and nobody knows what to do. And so there's just the uncertainty and the fear that goes along with that for our families and our persons. And then for entrepreneurs, the old saying, hey, it's not personal, it's just business. With an entrepreneur, business is pretty personal.
Yeah, and, for sure.
And so I think that's the number one pain right now. And I've been on calls with entrepreneurs all over the world in the last 4 or 5 weeks. Is the uncertainty of, here in America, the governor here in Texas, where you and I are, has eased restrictions somewhat. And so, is that a good thing? Is that not a good thing? And nobody knows. And so for the entrepreneur who's all in every day, there's just that uncertainty and the fear that goes along with that. And I think that's the biggest pain that entrepreneurs and probably the population in general experiences right now.
For sure. And then, staff, right? People are losing their jobs or being furloughed, or things are being put on pause. Like you said, the uncertainty, that's definitely things that I think that are very personal and affecting a lot of people everywhere, especially the entrepreneurs, right? Small, mid-sized companies, large enterprise companies. What are some of the things that, other than those challenges, anything else that your entrepreneur connections have been sharing with you?
Well, so number one, I think is the uncertainty. What am I going to do for my family? What am I going to do for myself? What am I going to do for my business? Which certainly includes their staffs. Most successful companies have very progressive cultures, and they treat their people as they'd want to be treated. And so it's very painful when you face this kind of uncertainty. I have a friend who is in the restaurant business, and a couple of weeks ago, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago now, had a conversation with that friend the day before, had to lay off 700 people.
Oh,
And
heartbreaking.
heartbreaking for the 700 people. But if you knew this person, their heart is about as big as the state of Texas. And they were literally in anguish over what really there was no choice for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't meet with more than 10 people.
Yeah.
It takes more than 10 customers to run a restaurant. And it probably, even though we've seen an ease in restrictions, to where a restaurant can now reopen and be at 25% capacity, you probably cannot run a profitable restaurant at 25% capacity.
Yeah.
Just think about your business or my business, or if you're in corporate, if
it's not sustainable.
Yeah, if you were operating on 25% of your salary, that probably doesn't really work for you. And so, it's just that uncertainty of what's going to happen, and how can I do the best I can for everyone in the picture. And,
for sure.
And there are some things you can do.
Yeah. What's your top 3 things you think that entrepreneurs should be doing right now?
I'm so glad you asked. I came with 3 things in particular for today.
Maybe we discussed it beforehand.
We may have, yeah, not our first day. And I probably have 30, but maybe I need to bring my top 3. And so here's top 3,
please,
for entrepreneurs. One is protect your cash. So here's maybe a good metaphor. A car accident, if you oversimplify it, is when 2 cars touch, right?
Yeah.
And they touch with force, and so that's not good. But just 2 cars are not supposed to touch. Airplanes are not supposed to touch. There are some things where no touching is allowed. Okay. So to prevent an automobile accident, you would do the opposite of that. Maintain as much distance as possible between other cars. It's pretty simple. Okay.
Yeah.
So in a situation like this, where we have huge unknowns going forward in our business, the lack of cash and an abundance of debt, we know what that creates. That creates a state called what Neiman Marcus, today or yesterday? Neiman Marcus, one of the flagship retailers in American history, filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Wow.
Too much debt, not enough cash.
Yeah.
We're closed. No new dollars coming in.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we look at that in parallel to the cars touching, the car accident, then the strategy on protect your cash is hang on to all the cash that you can, avoid debt where possible. And if you're highly leveraged to begin with, there's not much you can, there is something you can do about that, but you already own the issue.
Yeah.
And then protect that cash, because you don't know how much you will need and for how long you will need it.
Yes.
Now, here in the United States, and we've been horribly affected, but we've not been as horribly affected as other areas of the world. I mean, for every bad thing we have, there are other people who have things much, much, much worse. So, I generally start with something on gratitude.
Yes.
I'm a gratitude.
We're going to get to that. I promise.
Bless your heart. Thank you so much.
Yes.
My public service to the world.
Yes.
Gratitude. So
So number one, protect your cash. What's number two?
Protect that cash. Two, okay, don't stop marketing. So I have a client that helps people. She's a coach, and she helps people write a book. And I didn't go that route, and I've written a couple.
Yes.
And I'm on my fourth.
Let's see that again, real quick. Quick shout out.
Real quick.
Yes.
Three different books.
DIY romancing
your customer.
Yes, which I read. And then the final one, that's your latest one.
Build your big legacy.
Build your big legacy.
Which is about intentional living.
Yeah.
Your legacy is not how many dollars you leave, it's the impression you leave.
Yes.
Which that has to do with your actions. So
yeah. So what do you mean, don't stop marketing?
So don't stop. So over on this side, I have protect your cash. But on this side, I'm like, don't quit marketing.
Yeah.
Protect cash in other ways. Maybe you have to trim back on marketing, but don't stop. And here's a great example. This client who's a coach that helps people write books. Okay. Her primary method of marketing is the other big social media platform, who will remain unnamed since we're on LinkedIn today. Okay.
Starts with an F.
It might start with an F. Yeah. And then there's another one that starts with a G. And, big boys and girls like LinkedIn. And her marketing process is a person sees an ad, takes some action, eventually fills out an application.
Right.
Normally, an application costs about $150. Now, you buy the ads, you don't know exactly what the application is going to cost, but she's very successful, done this a long time. Since the great stay home, okay, an application runs about a third of that. So why is that? Why did it used to cost this and it now costs that?
Everyone paused.
Everyone stopped. They paused. Yeah.
So it's gone down? I did not.
Significantly.
Interesting.
Okay. Because there were some marketers, there were some companies who they took that counsel to protect my cash.
Yeah.
But they took it a little too far. They quit marketing. Okay.
Yeah.
So there used to be, back when there used to be yellow pages, so you had this big book and it was full of yellow pages. And if you wanted a plumber, you went to the yellow pages and looked for a plumber back in the old days when dirt was new and we had horses and buggies. Okay. And there was a commercial that used to run on television about a fella named Arnold who had one rug, and his business was Arnold's Rug. and it was a spoof. They had a salesperson walk in and say, "Hey, do you want to advertise in the yellow pages?" And he said, "No way. I only have one rug. And if I advertise, someone will come buy it and I will be out of business."
Yeah.
And it was, it was big satire, but many people, many businesses, many entrepreneurs have done the same thing. They've said, no more marketing. And the reality is we all need new customers. Yeah. We need our old customers to stay with us. We need to romance our customers. We need to be
top of mind. Be top of mind. Yes.
Be top of mind, and have that top of mind be a feeling of, I love doing business with Don. Yeah. He helps me bring in dollars. Yeah. He's fun. He answers the phone. Okay. We get stuff done. Yeah. Okay? And so, you absolutely should not stop. And maybe I should have gone the positive route. Keep marketing.
Yeah. Yes.
Marketing. If you have stopped, restart. Okay. Now, one thing on your marketing is this. This is probably not the time to be attempting a hardcore sales campaign. Okay. This is a time to be helping, okay, as much as you can, building your audience, generating rapport.
Yeah.
Okay, so that when your buyer can pull the trigger,
Yes.
they know who to pull it with.
And Dawn, I just wanted to ask you a quick question before we get to the third piece of advice. It is from April Franzen. And she asks, I'd like to ask Dawn about any new avenues that the new normal may be opening up now.
So avenues for marketing.
Or maybe even businesses. She says she'd like to start a new business. Have you seen any kind of industry or high-level strategic opportunities come up?
Yeah, no doubt. Tons and tons and tons. A crisis like this presents huge opportunities for people who are creative, who find solutions to pain.
Yeah.
Okay. Find solutions to pain, and probably is a much bigger opportunity for startups and entrepreneurial companies than corporate America.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because corporate is like an aircraft carrier on the ocean. Okay. It can sail across the entire ocean, but when you want to turn, it takes 14 miles to turn the boat.
Yeah.
Okay. Just because it's a big boat. Okay.
And last week I had a supply chain expert say the same thing. There's opportunities right now for small, mid-sized companies. They're just quicker to adapt. Right?
Much quicker. You can turn on a dime. Entrepreneurs are known for at 10 o'clock in the morning, yay, I'm going to rule the world. And at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, oh my gosh, we're going out of business. And sometimes riding that roller coaster. And so they can move really fast. And so here's one, and I got this from another fellow friend of mine, but there's been a big question with the economy about what's going to happen with real estate. Are houses going to take a dive like they did in 2008?
Yeah.
Commercial real estate going to take a dive? And the most common thinking is that houses will remain strong and maybe even get stronger. When we have to stay in our home, that keeps demand pretty high.
Yeah.
Okay. And relaxing, but that doesn't mean we won't have the great stay home chapter.
Was it you that told me like paint sales have gone up?
No doubt.
Someone told me paint sales have gone up.
Drive by a Home Depot or Lowe's. People are fixing up their place.
All the home improvement projects are now like, the to-do lists. We can finally tackle them.
Yes. But I think here's an opportunity in real estate is this. There are a lot of people who, with the popularity of Airbnb and VRBO, they went and bought a house and they put a mortgage on it and they bought it close to a tourist attraction. So they bought it on the beach or they bought it at Victory Park in downtown Dallas. Okay. And they knew I just have to rent this house 10 days a month. And I'm totally pulling numbers out of the air. And that pays my mortgage and pays my property taxes and pays my insurance. And so one day, 30 years from now, this property will be paid for and Airbnbers paid for it. Or I kept it for 5 years. It didn't really cost me anything because the rent handled my expenses. And then in 5 years, the property went from being $250,000 to $350,000, and so they made $100,000.
Yeah.
And there is a bazillion of those around. Well, this pandemic and the resulting restrictions, number one, people are not traveling.
Correct.
Okay. And number two, if I had an Airbnb at Myrtle Beach, I don't think the city of Myrtle Beach is letting people into town. And so if I own an Airbnb there, I have 100% vacancy.
Yeah.
Because so what I think you'll see just in this one micro example is rental and vacation type properties. I think you'll see those take a dip. And so if you're looking for a condo at Steamboat, might be a good time. If you're looking for a place on the beach, might be a good time. If you want to move to downtown Dallas, uptown Dallas, might be a good time to find a bargain. And that's just one of hundreds. I literally know businesses and have clients that approach that situation from this standpoint. Where's the money right now? And what can I do to go get it?
Ooh, yes.
Ooh, yeah. Pretty laser focus. These entrepreneurs are a crafty group. And that, when I heard that the first time, I was like, oh, that's really smart.
Mm.
Where and how can I go get it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just typing it up.
Type it up. Type it up. I got about 500 of them. We're only going to talk about 3
Yes.
on this. So
let's get to also that third piece of advice you had.
So the third piece was this. Entrepreneurs, but even individuals, and even families that are successful typically have a 1 year, a 3 year, a 5 year plan.
Yes.
And I can remember, I think it was Tom Peters in Search of Excellence. They interviewed the chairman of Sony, which I think the parent is Matsushita Electronics. And they asked him in a television interview, do you have a 10-year plan? And his answer shocked the entire business world globally. He said, we have a 250-year plan.
Yeah.
Okay. So entrepreneurs aren't really that good. Okay. But most have a 1 year, a 3 year, and a 5 year plan. And I'm not saying to abandon those. Okay. And, The Art of War, the book, The Art of War, the quote in there is, the victory goes to the person who has a plan. Not that things go according to plan, because they rarely do, but the victory goes to the person who has a plan. And so if you don't have a plan, get a plan.
Yes.
Okay. If you do have a plan, a 1 year, a 3 year, a 5 year, or if you are the second coming of Sony Electronics and you have a 250-year plan, I'm also going to suggest to you that right now, for the very reasons we've been talking about, we don't know what's going to happen.
It changes week to week.
We don't know. Okay. So for an entrepreneur, you should also be doing some really bite-sized plans. 30 days, 45 days. So I need a plan for the next 30 days. And then I need to know a couple options for the 30 days after that. Okay. And that doesn't mean scrap your 1, 3, and 5 year stuff. Okay. Keep that.
Yeah.
Okay. But right now we live in such a fluid environment. Okay. Literally, the government could say, as they have one day, the governor said, no public gatherings more than 10 people. So any business that had more than 10 people could not open.
Yeah.
Okay. Some businesses, I own 3 businesses. Some businesses were able to go home and not miss a beat. And because we had a disaster contingency plan, it took us 8 hours to go from working in the building that we own, working in our homes. Okay.
Yes.
But people who didn't have a contingency plan like that was very hard.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I hear a lot of people who say they know. I don't think they know either.
So that's good, because you have the long-term plans, but in the interim, because things are changing so quickly, plan in these 30-day, 45-day kind of bite-sized plans. That's great advice, Don. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And most of my work is on the sales side.
Yes.
Because it's fun and I help people bring in a lot of money, and so they love me. And so I can certainly help with those kind of plans. But if you're looking for a comprehensive plan for your business, you can reach out to me. I can hook you up with professionals. I get nothing out of it, but I can help with that. But that's too much like real work for me. I only want help people
Well,
win big dollars.
that's a great segment into my next question. Like, how do you sell to people right now when they're less willing to buy and less willing to spend?
So I'm not. So to me, I always think, and you and I've had these conversations before. So I think most people approach selling from an error in perspective. Okay. Number one, I don't think they see it the way it really is. So I don't think people are unwilling to buy right now. I think people are very, very willing to buy.
In what way? Explain that.
Well, so I have to go back one more step. Most companies, people, entrepreneurs, when they come to me, they tell me, selling is hard and I can't make people buy anything. And I'm like, well, you're right and you're wrong. You can't make anybody do anything, and you should quit trying. You're out of the make people do things business. You're into the make things easy for people to do business. Okay, but on the people don't want to buy, that's a misconception. People want to buy. People love to buy. Psychologically, people need the endorphin rush they get when they buy. Okay. And that's the truth. And I got a bunch of people that will say, hey, Don, help me find a $90,000 contract, or Don, help me do $1 million in revenue. And it wasn't hard, and it was quick, and it was easy, and it was fun, merely by changing perspective. So I don't think that people are not willing to buy right now. I think here is, if there's some reluctance, it's this. I don't want to assume much risk. And so I'll buy, but I don't want to buy whatever you sold me not work and me be left with a big bag of nothing. Okay. This is not the time where I'm comfortable taking a risk on a bag of nothing. So if, as an entrepreneur, you can mitigate and decrease that risk, I see just as many people buying.
They still create that trust, right?
It's all about trust. The only reason people don't buy is a lack of trust. But if you, for example, sell, let's say you were a coach and you sell a $20,000 coaching package.
Yeah.
And in normal times, people write a check or they put $20,000 on their credit card and you go on down the road. Well, today you might want to consider, my package is still $20,000.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's not based on how much time I spend. That's based on the value you get.
Yeah.
You get $200,000 of the value. But rather than $20,000 upfront payment, we'll do $5,000 a month for 4 months.
Got it.
And your satisfaction is guaranteed.
Yeah.
If I don't deliver, cancel.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And that eases their kind of anxiety, lowers the risk. Yeah.
Lowers the risk. And because then the buyer says, so really I'm risking $5,000 for the first 30 days. And they're going to guarantee, if I'm not happy, they're going to give that back and I'm going to quit. And so, remember, it's not about making people do something. It's about making it easy for people to do something. And then if what you sell, the product, service, or experience that you sell, has ultimate value.
Yeah.
I do 100% satisfaction guarantee with my coaching clients.
Right.
I have yet. I may one day.
Right.
Someone may say, Don, you stink. It was horrible. It didn't work. And I'll give their money back. But I have, as of yet, to give back 1 penny.
And again, you're mitigating their risk, right? Putting them at ease. If you're not satisfied, here's this money back guarantee kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Got it.
And so, I don't think people are adverse to buying and spending. I do think people are adverse right now because of the uncertainty.
More
what we were
cautious.
talking about. I just don't want to accept a big risk in what I'm doing. And so here's a corporate example, so smart. So all of the big cable providers, the fiber optic providers, the people who provide you internet and television. So pretty much all of them, if you called and said, I don't have internet, I had to go home because of my job, I can't afford internet, pretty much all of them have a no problem. We'll provide you a basic service at no cost during this time. Okay. Now, when things get back to normal, and they're going to, I don't know when, but we've had really bad health crises all through history. Okay. And so far we've gotten past everyone. We got past the plague. I think we're going to get past COVID-19.
And even like those insurance companies, right? They're giving some credit back because people aren't in their cars and there's fewer accidents right now. And so they took that initiative to give some credit back to the customers.
Smart.
Yes.
So the cable companies, what do you think happens when things go back to normal and they say, we were happy to help you, but now things are normal. We can turn it off.
Yeah.
Or you can begin paying for it. What do you think that consumer is going to do?
Yeah.
It's how they used to sell puppies. Here, I have a Labrador puppy. Would you take care of it for a week? And if you don't like it, I'll come get it.
Yes.
How many puppies do you think they came and got? None, because you like the puppy.
Yeah.
So
Don, we have a quick question real quick from the audience. Aura, she says, how do you approach the reopening of businesses in terms of bringing your customers back in?
So if you're retail, I think there's a couple issues. One, as a business, you want to mitigate risk, okay, because you have at least a perceived contingent liability if you come back to provide, you're legally obligated to provide a safe environment for your employees. You can be found negligent, that would be a bad thing. And I'm not an attorney and qualified to give legal advice, but you'll hear the wisdom in that.
Yeah.
Two, and probably if you're a small business, this is less of a risk, but I would almost guess that at some point we see some legal action on behalf of someone who got sick, who claimed it happened in a Walmart store or a Target, somebody who has a major corporation that has deep pockets.
Yeah.
So one, I think you've got to mitigate that risk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Safety first.
And some strategies are, I'm going to wand your temperature as you come in and as you leave, and we're going to do a log, and anybody who has a temperature cannot be here. Another strategy might be a professional decontamination of the site.
Yep.
In which there are companies that come in, they wear the suit, everything's fine, when they leave.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it will carry on. Other strategies, I know of manufacturers that are writing a check to have a medical team come in and test their entire census. So they have 200 employees. We have to test. Anybody's sick, they have to go home. Everybody else can stay.
Yeah.
We're open. We're working.
Yeah.
Okay. And so on the risk mitigation side, those are a couple of strategies. Yeah. On the, hey, let's go to business side. Let's go win some business, where I like to play on the, hey, let's bring money inside.
Yeah.
Okay. It's, hey, tell your customers we're open. Okay.
Word of mouth.
Well, word of mouth, email, send them a postcard, put it on social media, send them telepathic messages, do phone calls, call them up and say, hey,
Yeah.
we're open and we're only open 25%, but we'll bring it to your car. And then when you have that employee deliver it,
Mm-hmm.
follow the principles. And Fanny, I'll give you a link that you can give to the audience where
Yes.
I'll give you this book absolutely free. Okay.
Yeah.
No cost, but practice the principles in romancing your customer.
Mm.
Every time you're in front of a customer, you have the opportunity to create a magical experience
Yeah.
or an UGG experience.
Yeah.
And I'm going to recommend that you create those magical experiences, because what customers remember, what your spouse remembers, what your children remembers, what your partners remember are those moments,
Mm.
where you did something, not, and it might be saying something, but a lot of times it's did something, took an
Yeah.
action to where they said, wow,
Yeah.
he really thought about me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a big thing for you, like create that wow for your customers, right? And make it memorable.
So as you know, Fanny knows me very well. I'm in the wow business.
I love that you have all these props.
You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, I want my customers to say, Don's a wow. He's an 11. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think when we approach our life that way, approach our friends, our family, our loved ones, our customers, our prospects, our vendors,
Yeah.
when we go to deliver that wow, I'll just tell you, here's a byproduct, is you'll receive
Yes.
a lot of wow. If you give it, you'll get it back.
Absolutely. So looking towards the future, right? Where are you seeing opportunities for entrepreneurs right now? You know, what can they grab hold of and really take it to the next level, and how can they adapt?
Okay, so first off, for the first time in history, okay, the federal government came out with a 3P program, Payroll Protection Act.
Yeah.
There may still be some money available in that. And then also EIDL, okay, Emergency Impact, Disaster Impact Loan, and now Main Street. And so for the first time in history, we've always had the Small Business Administration, and a lot of entrepreneurs have used what they call the 7A program to buy and fund their business. Okay. But for the first time in history, the federal government said, we got to help people. The feds are not normally known for that. Okay. We got to help people. And so if they're employees and they're middle to lower income, let's send them a check for $1,200. Okay. Now, does that fix all their problems? No, probably not. But is it 1,200 manna from heaven dollars?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And that will buy some beans and cornbread or whatever it is that you want to buy. Okay. And then they went to small businesses and they said, I want to help you continue to pay people. So the help that they give to the small business is less for the small business, but for the small business, for their people. And by small business, I just mean 500 employees and under.
Yep.
Some of those are not small businesses. Some of those are pretty big businesses. Okay. And they were able to apply and get quick approval and quick funding to keep people on the job. Yeah. And I know companies, and if you're an entrepreneur and you haven't done this, but you did get the 3P loan, I know companies that had to have a reduction in work. Then the 3P program came to their rescue. And so they rehired people. And then what they did with those people, because they could live without them, that's why they laid off or furloughed them, is they put those people in the what? Marketing. Let's go find more customers.
Right.
Okay.
Or warm leads at the very least.
Absolutely. Let's get name recognition. Let's get, you and I both know, and Fanny has taught me so much about the use of video. and the connection that people feel when they interact with a video. And so
Absolutely.
if you're one of those businesses that laid some people off, got the 3P program, can afford to bring people on, I can't do it on this, but I can tell you how. Get some people marketing. Okay.
Yeah.
Bring in some more customers. Okay.
And this is, I mean, it's a great segue into my next question for you. I mean, you and I have worked together on video. We're both very passionate about video. I've helped you kind of, interview you and, created a bunch of videos that I think gave such great sales advice. So for those of you that haven't seen them, definitely check them out. I think they're on your YouTube now, Don. Is that right?
They're LinkedIn, YouTube. They're everywhere. My blog. They're everywhere. Yeah.
So why is video so critical?
Oh my gosh. So Fanny, I was a big doubter, a big skeptic.
I worked on you for a long time.
She did. I don't know why you didn't give up. Okay. Big doubter, big skeptic. And so Fanny literally kind of took me by the hand and got me started doing video. Now, that was the old days. Today I have multiple copywriters, multiple post-production people, and we crank out tons of stuff. And here's my top 3 reasons why you ought to use video. The number one reason people don't buy is a lack of trust.
Yeah.
The number one thing video does, if you speak from the heart, if you act from the heart, and if you have value to your content, is credibility is established with people who do not know you.
Yes.
Okay. And so it is. And so think about the first time you meet a stranger in a selling situation, they're always a little reluctant. They're always a little cagey. They're always a little skeptical. I don't want to tell you anything that you might sell me. If they've seen a video or two, it's like you went to college together. They start the conversation with, "Hey, Don, remember when we did the thing?" And you're like, "No, I don't remember." But they remember.
Yes.
And the only person's point of view that matters in business is the other person's. Yours does not matter. Only theirs matters. So 1, it's credible. 2, it's one-to-many.
Yes.
I am a really great salesperson, and put me in a room of 20 people, a room of 1,000 people, okay, or one-on-one. That's my world. But through video, literally 10, 20,000 people a week see me. Okay. Everybody doesn't like me. There's a few people, there's something wrong there. No, I'm kidding. Okay. But most people say, he's different. He has a different way of seeing it. Okay. And maybe that's going to work for me. Yeah. And so the one-to-many, that's the second big benefit. And the third is that it's almost eternal. Yeah. Maybe evergreen-ish is the right word. So I did a video on gratitude in Cancun. We literally, 200 entrepreneurs were at a retreat, okay? And they say, "Hey, Don, would you come shoot a video?" And I'm wearing a ball cap, and we've been out in the sun all day, and we're not working at this point. And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And so they ask a really pointed question on gratitude, and I have an amazing story that I witnessed.
Yes.
And I share that. And so that's been 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I have people almost every month because it has its own life. It's been on LinkedIn. It's been on Facebook. It's been on YouTube. It's on several other networks.
Yeah.
And almost every month I have somebody reach out to me and say, "I saw that video."
Yeah.
And I'm not selling anything. I'm just sharing something that I witnessed.
Yeah.
And you can't have that without video.
Yeah. Agree.
So it establishes credibility. It's one-to-many, and it's almost eternal. If it's not eternal, it's close.
For sure.
I don't know.
For
We haven't been
sure.
to eternity yet, but
And Don, like I swear, like time is just flying by because your nuggets are just amazing. And I do want to kind of maybe end with a question for you. Oh, Ashley, please hold. We have some questions from the audience. Akansha asked, in a saturated market, what strategies would we adapt to revamp our marketing moves? How do you stand out in a saturated market?
so I think I have a really good answer to that. But that also is maybe a question that requires its own kind of attention. But I'll tell you this, here's how you stand out in every market. The herd is going this direction. And they are.
Yeah.
The herd is all going one direction. You want to stand out? Go the other way. Okay.
What does that mean? Can you give me like a little example? What do you mean?
So let's take car dealers. Okay. Almost everybody's dealt with a car dealer.
Yeah.
Almost everybody is underwhelmed by experience. They're on the slightly to very negative experience rating. But there are certain car dealers. There's one here in Dallas-Fort Worth that has multiple brands. And they run commercials on television, and they get customers in front of a video camera to share their experience on video. And they have people who say, I bought my first car here. I now live 300 miles away. I come back and buy all my cars here. And they deliver a level of service. The herd delivers this underwhelming level.
Yeah.
And they deliver this white glove, red carpet, concierge.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they're totally counterintuitive to what you expect, and people are shocked.
And it creates the wow. Hold the sign.
And they have, their customers are truly fans. And that should be your goal for your customers. The highest praise a customer can give me is this. Tell somebody else, he is really expensive. And if you ever get a chance to work with him, take it, because he's worth way more than that.
Yeah.
And that's the highest praise I can get.
Right. Okay. One final question, just
Okay.
because it's just a bunch of questions for you, and it's a great topic. From Pramod, a project manager. Any quick tips on how to market a concept when the product is still under development?
Yeah.
How do you get people excited when it's not quite complete yet, right?
Well, spoken like a true entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is the kind of person who will jump out of the airplane and build the parachute on the way down. Think back, Steve Jobs, okay, when he was not at Apple, when he was at the Next, or they fired him.
Yes.
At one point they fired him, and he said, "Okay, I'm going to go into business against you." Okay, and he literally sold a bunch of stock, raised a bunch of money, telling people that this box that he had would do all these things.
Yes.
It didn't do anything. It was an empty box. Okay. Yeah. And so, spoken like a true entrepreneur, I want to congratulate you for that. Okay. And I want to say this. Talk with some prototypical buyers for whatever that product, what your vision for that product is where it's going to end up, because without a vision, you'll never finish it.
Yeah.
Okay. And talk with some of them and get their feedback, because remember, the only person's point of view, the only person's perspective that matters is theirs.
Yeah.
Not yours.
Yeah.
Okay. And so start talking with them. Here's what I think. Here's what it'll do. Here's the benefit that comes of that. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Robert Kiyosaki, the guy who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad, one of his dads was highly educated college professor. Okay. And lived a very modest life, had a very low income. The other, and he was genius.
Yes.
The other, his stepfather, was a C student, never did very good at anything, amassed millions and millions of dollars. Okay. And his method of operation was this. He'd go to his banker, he'd go to anybody who he thought had any smarts, and he'd say, here's my balance sheet, here's my profit and loss, here's what I do. What do you think? What can I do better? And he learned from other people, because none of us have, Fanny, you have a superpower. There's something you do in business better than anybody on the planet. Okay. And if I'm doing that in my business, I don't want to try for that to be my superpower. That's not going to happen. I want to get you to come help me.
Okay? Absolutely.
And so get other people's input that you value.
Awesome. And so as we wrap this up, I want to wrap it up with gratitude with you, because I want you, if you could, we have like 1 minute. Actually, we can go long. It's my show. If you could, Don, share, I want to end with gratitude. And if you could share that story you told me and in that post about one of your employees and how you used to have, or you probably still do have, those stand-up meetings and what she shared. And I think in the midst of all this craziness, we need to practice gratitude. And so I would love for you to share that story and kind of help me close out the show with gratitude.
Thank you. I'll be happy to. And if you'll connect people or they'll reach out to me, I'll answer your questions.
Yes, I know there's tons of questions. I haven't even begun to.
So I'll do this as quick as I can. 5 years ago, I'm in Bangkok, Thailand. I meet a lady who explains the concept of gratitude to me in a way I'd never understood. And I have so much in my life to be grateful for, but I just wasn't grateful. And so when I got back to the States, I made a conscious decision that I would intentionally practice gratitude. And I went to Home Depot and I bought this bucket, and I put this piece of paper in it, said gratitude. And I carried this bucket with me. It's on my credenza here in my home office. I carried it to the office. It rode in the car, it rode in the truck, it sat beside me for about 6 months. And it was my reminder to be grateful, because I had so many things to be grateful for. Great wife, great kids. I've been an entrepreneur a long time. So much to be grateful for. And after about 6 months, I decided I was going to, out of the goodness of my heart, share gratitude with my leadership team. And so every Monday morning, we have a gratitude exercise, and we still do it. Now we're doing it 3 days a week because we're on Zoom, okay? Because there's nobody at the office. Well, one person still goes to the office. But anyhow, we do it 3 days a week. And one good thing is you just stand and you have about 60 seconds to share one thing you're grateful for from your life from the previous week, business, family, or personal.
Right.
Now, kind of funny, nobody's ever stood up and said, I'm so glad Don Williams is my boss. And I'm kind of hurt over that.
You didn't pay them to say that?
I've hinted it. I've even asked, would somebody please say it? They refuse. So it's typically something like, I have an 11-year-old daughter. She plays soccer. I've been to 4 of her games. And in the last game, she introduced me to her friends. And the first 3, she hadn't. Mm-hmm. And so, they were grateful for that. So all of that to share this story with you. I've been traveling a bunch. I travel a bunch. I speak everywhere. And I knew that this lady who worked with me for 15 or 20 years had been out from reports. I knew that her daughter had been pregnant. Mm-hmm. What I didn't know is that the physician had told the parents the baby is not likely to survive to term. If the baby does survive to term, will be stillborn. If it is not stillborn, will expire almost immediately. Congenital thing cannot be helped. I've told this 500 times. That Monday, she stood up and she said, my grandson was born last week. he lived an hour. And I'm grateful because mom and dad, my husband and I, the other grandparents, got to meet him and tell him they loved him. And I'm grateful for that. And so I thought I was going to share and teach my team about gratitude. And as is often the case when the teacher learns the most. And so I still cannot practice gratitude at that level. But my fourth book is on gratitude. And I don't know what the title is yet, but right now we're calling it Don's Gratitude Project, which is not good enough. But I know this, if you intentionally practice gratitude, and it might be as simple as I read something positive,
Yeah.
I journal what I'm grateful for,
Yeah.
and you will see a change in your life.
Yeah.
And because contentment is more about loving what you have than having what you think you love.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Thank you for
Thank you.
share that.
Thank you, Don Williams.
Please invite me back sometime.
Yes, absolutely. I don't think we got through all the comments and questions. And but for those of you out there, thank you for tuning in. Please connect with Don. You're the only Don Williams, I think, right? When you type in Don Williams on LinkedIn, you'll find him. And such a pleasure. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. And
thank you.
And if you're inclined, please reach out. I'd love to chat.
Definitely. Yes. Connect with him on LinkedIn, folks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And so I'm not even going to say anything else. I think I want to leave it with this moment of gratitude. And there's a lot of craziness happening right now and a lot of challenges for everyone. And I think if we could just end the day or start the day with gratitude, I think we'll be a lot better off. And so for any sales, marketing, or creating wow customer experiences, connect with Don Williams. And I'll see you next Thursday. Bye, everyone.